Hey, Stuart here from How's the Hike? Without Evelyn and Olivia, they are in school, and I am back up on the Foothills Trail, this time on the other side of Lake Chicassie. And here at A7, I'm going to head in, intersect the Foothills Trail here, head up into North Carolina, and if you can see, come along here, this way, into Bear Gap, and maybe a little further. We'll have to wait and see. This, of course, is where we were before. We stayed here at Virginia Hawkins Falls in April, but I'm on the other side now. And the idea is to kind of go in and break in some new gear, have another look, maybe do a day hike, maybe stay in. I'm really not sure. As you can see, gorgeous, stunning day. I guess it all depends on the mileage, you know, whether or not I can stay in or not. It's about 6 hours from my house, and it's a busy time for my company, so I may just go in, might do quick in and out today, which would end up being rather long at about probably 12 miles, or I might stay in. It just depends. We'll see where the campsites are, we'll see what my pace is, what the mileage is, and we'll see how everything feels, and I'll decide as we go. So anyway, glad you're here. Let's suit up and let's get going. Well, I can tell you, driving in here was pretty much straight uphill. And then when we get into this beautiful area near the dam, Duke Energy, it was all downhill. And as I pulled in, I thought, probably going to be a lot of uphill right off the bat. So, looks like I was right. A little bit of a spur trail here to get us actually on the Foothills Trail. About half a mile to intersect the main trail. And on to Hilliard Falls, where I'll probably stop for lunch. Spur trail, almost half a mile in or so, about to intersect the actual Foothills Trail. This is Whitewater Creek. There's actually some falls, two sets of falls nearby Whitewater Creek, and no camping along the section of the trail between the two falls. So up here in just a little bit, once we intersect the main trail, we'll probably see a designated campsite that folks are told to use if they're trying to get through on 5, 6, or 7 days on the Foothill Trail. You can see here, okay, here we go. Yep. So Bag Creek is where I came from, where I parked. Half a mile, Foothills Trail, 0.1 miles. All right. Now we just have to figure out which way we're going. And I don't think it's that way. I do have my GPS with me, of course, but okay, let's go across here and see what we have. Beautiful, my goodness. Payoff in half a mile, isn't that great? Really, really nice. If I needed to rehydrate, I'd be in business, but I'm all good for now. Better watch where I'm walking. You guys can look up the stream. I'll watch where I'm putting my feet. All right, coming on back here. See what we got over here. Just stunning. 9:15 in the morning. One more look. We'll see it on the way back to the car tomorrow or Wednesday. And here we go. Well, that's where we're heading, the Thompson River and Laurel Valley. That's where our hike was in April, if you remember. And always check the blazes. White for the Foothills Trail, which is that direction. And if you go that way, that takes you to Oconee State Park. Oh, there's the sign right there. All right, cool. We are heading that way. Let's go. had to show you this. I mean, I'm going downhill now, which is awesome, but on the way out, I have to come back up this way. That's the problem with not doing a through hike, right? You're doing these in and outs just to kind of get your season going, and because you don't have the time and all that kind of stuff, which is, you know, totally legitimate, but you end up coming over terrain. Like when the girls and I did that hike in April, on the other side of Lake Chicassie than we are right now. I mean, that's what happened to us. I mean, you had to go back and do some of those crazy up and down stairs a second time, just in reverse. So, well, we'll have a look at this on my way out, and you can hear me huffing and puffing. But also, I gotta say too, while I've got you, way more tree cover now than there was last month. I know I mentioned it a couple of times in the last video about how the trees hadn't come out up here yet, and they're out now. Lots of beautiful ferns, and the great thing about having the tree cover like this is it just keeps everything nice and cool down here, and the sun kind of off you. A little bit of a double-edged sword there later when I try to use my solar panel to charge things, but I'm appreciating the cool morning, especially as I'm going up and down these hills. Speaking of ferns, a funny little story. I grew up in New Brunswick, Canada, and we moved to South Carolina about 6 years ago. And where I grew up, ferns like this are very plentiful. And in the spring of the year, when the ferns pop out of the ground, they've yet to unfurl, and you pick them, steam them, butter them, and eat them. And they're called fiddleheads. And it's a regional delicacy, and I'll have to be honest, as a good New Brunswick boy that I am, never liked them. Yeah. But they are absolutely a delicacy, and if you don't pick them, they turn into ferns. All right, so more than you paid for there, and thanks for indulging my little story. Update, I've crossed into North Carolina now, out of South Carolina. Did it just a little ways back, and it's interesting how this trail does start and end in South Carolina, but comes up here into North Carolina for a pretty good chunk of it, actually, until you get over to the Toxaway River at the top of Lake Chicassie. I hope I'm saying that right. There's still words here after 6 years. I look at them and I think, well, that's how it should sound, and it doesn't. But anyway, so now in North Carolina. Didn't bring my passport, but I think I'm all right. And I think I'm going to stop at the Thompson River for a break. That should not be that far off, maybe a mile or so. I've actually already gone hiking about 68 minutes, but I've only done 2.5 miles. So a little better than 2 miles an hour, which isn't bad for me given the new pack on my back and some of the wicked ups and downs where I tend to slow down and just kind of take my time. So off we go. Wow. Beautiful. This is amazing. I'm actually gonna walk down here. Oh. Well, there's the bridge. Okay, great. Wow. Thompson River. Let's go find that campsite and sit down and have a little break. Come off the bridge and was about to head up the hill, and I think hopefully there's nobody here. I don't invade their privacy, but I think this might be the camping area here. Yeah, this is it. About 3.3 miles from the car. Nice little spot. Really great spot for a hammock. I'm not sure I see much here that interests me in a tent, which is what I'm carrying right now. Yeah. Maybe right up in there. I've only got a two-person tent, so there's lots of room, but I do like a somewhat flat spot. All the hammock folks will be saying, "See, Stuart, you should be carrying a hammock." Now, where's this going? Oh, tell me that's not a set of stairs. Well, I don't hear any voices. That, okay. Well, let's see. Because you know, I've noted before I'm coming back this way. So, oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to film this because I need both hands, but when I get to the bottom, I'll turn this back on and show you the other view. Well, as I promised. Actually, easier if that old railing wasn't still there. You know, the last video we took with when the girls were with me, I wish they were here now. They would have enjoyed that. Well, we showed you stairs, and I mean, but that's certainly the longest run of the ones I've seen out here in the section hikes we've done here on the Foothills Trail. So we should be very close now to Bear Camp Creek and Hilliard Falls. I hope. All right, we are coming up on Bear Camp Creek. I have hiked, well, according to my Apple Watch, let's see, sorry for the jigglies. I've hiked 6.17 miles. That's not completely accurate, to be honest. That's a close indication. Pretty close. Anyway, for the next mile, okay, so sorry, hang on. If we go left up here, we go up to Hilliard Falls, which I heard earlier as I was coming down the hill. If you go right, you follow Bear Camp Creek for about a mile, And there's lots of good camping spots along here. So, down here, and we'll scout out this campsite over here. All right, and there's the sign for Hilliard Falls, 1/3 of a mile up that way. Certainly won't be taking my pack up there, but whew, let's have a look over here, follow the trail down. As I said, there's a camping spot right here, and there's a lot of camping spots for the next mile or so. And then from here, I think about 5 miles to Bear Creek, where there's definitely a designated campsite. It's on the Foothills Trail map, actually, as well. Yes, a big fire pit. Looks like some decent spots for tents. Yeah, good. I'm gonna sit here and rest a bit. Be over here in the sun. And plot my next move. I mentioned start of the video, just really wanted to get out and look at some different gear. I'm going to stop for some lunch in an hour or so, and I'll take you through some of the new gear that that I tested. And also wasn't sure if I was going to do an overnight or just an out and back today, like a big day hike. And I think probably just gonna look at the weather and probably just do an out and back day hike and then head home. Mission accomplished on the gear, except for the 2-person tent that I haven't really tried yet, but I'll try that at home. That's easy to do. Yeah, but a good hike so far. Beautiful back here too. I really want to get Evelyn and Olivia back so we can do you know, a few nights on this trail, and then I'm thinking probably in the fall, if time permits, I might try the through hike all the way, just under 80 miles, and get to see it from end to end. It's tough when you do these out and backs, because now I know as I head back to the parking lot what I'm heading into. So we'll get up out of this valley, we'll get to the top of the next hill, stop, get the stove out, have a nice hot lunch, a little treat, and then head back to the parking lot. Whoa, bees. Okay, so by the way, that's the other thing. So let me just pan over here. If you look over here, there are bees galore, like large bees, and lots of large flies as well here at Bear Creek, Bear Camp Creek campsite. And it's because, I mean, honestly, it's because people dispose of food in the fire. No question about it. Dispose of some of their things. You know, really, it's leave no trace. Typically, well, listen, legit leave no trace. You're not even having that fire, but you know, come on. We can let the fire happen, but for goodness sake, don't burn stuff in there, because that's what happens. So now anybody that comes here tonight and wants to use this fire pit is going to have to deal with a swarm of bees, which is kind of not cool. Even if they're not having a fire, you still don't want that. I've sat there and just got buzzed twice. Anyway, all right, going to suit back up and head back up the hill and head toward the parking lot. It's going to be a long day. Going to be about 13 miles total, in and out. Pretty good day hike with a full pack. Well, stuff happens on trails, so I'm sure the Foothills Trails folks will get out here at some point and get this removed. Uphill's tough right now, I'll tell you that. Especially now that I've decided to make it a 13-mile day hike, which is fine. I mean, I love the flexibility. I'll elaborate later, but I couldn't make the mileages work out in my head. I wasn't a big fan of the Bear Camp Creek area. Anyway, funny thing about this is when I was a kid, where I grew up in New Brunswick, there were no hiking trails. There really weren't. So what I had to do when I went out in the woods was basically I followed brooks, creeks, things like that, and bushwhacked. And so, you know, stuff like this. Okay, there we go. Whew, thank you, sir. Stuff like this, pretty normal. Although I would typically have a day pack on and not be testing a 95-liter expedition pack, which is kind of what I'm doing now. But I was going to allude earlier, I was going to tell you at some point that you know, one of my goals is to do some through hikes. I mentioned, you know, a few minutes ago about coming out and doing this one from end to end, which would be great. Fall, I think, is the best time. Temperatures need to be cool at night and no heat and humidity during the day, which is kind of what's building in this time of year, with the exception of these few days. Yeah, so I really just wanted something that could carry the gear I needed to carry to go from one end to another. Another one on my bucket list is Jasper National Park's North Boundary Trail. You're probably looking at 9 days for that one. And, you know, that's not a place where you can resupply or drop some things off somewhere. That's a very long, what is it, 160 or 170K? You've got to carry it all. So even when I do the Foothills Trail through hike, which I'll probably opt for the 7-day version, you know, I really want to be able to carry everything I need to be self-sufficient. I know a lot of guys will, you know, stuff some supplies here along the way, and that's fine. It's very AT-ish. And you can do that here because of just the way the trail meanders past roads and things like that. But, you know, I grew up hiking, or really started backpacking in the Canadian Rockies, where you carried everything you needed and then some in case you got stuck. So, point is, even though I couldn't make the mileage work for an overnight, really glad I came out. I mentioned I'd either show you this, well, that I'd show you this tomorrow if I stayed. And, well, I'm back to it already. I don't think there's any way I can show you this while doing it. So you'll have to just imagine what it's like to have 40 pounds on your back. It's 73 degrees, there's no breeze, and you've already done 7 miles. I will let you think about that while I go do it. Well, as you can see, descending back down into the Thompson River. This is where I stopped earlier and had a break. This is where I'm going to stop and have some lunch. However, I'm not going to stop here at this campsite. I'm actually going to cross the bridge. As I remember, just up the ways, nice little area of rocks. Should be easy for me to filter a little bit extra water to get me out, and also to boil some water for lunch. One more look at this gorgeous area. I mean, this is 3.5-4 miles from where I park my car. I mean, think about that as a day hike opportunity. Just come in here and hang out on that. Look at that, on that big rock right there. Sun yourself on your sleeping pad. Lunchtime. Alright, filtered some water. Or not filtered it yet, but talk about water for a sec. These are really hard to use when you first get them. So they kind of have to get used a bit. I find blowing in them a little bit to open them up really helps. Maybe that's on the instructions. I don't know, as my wife will attest. Don't always read them. Always want to have a couple of different ways to filter water. So on this trip, actually, I brought 2 Sawyer Minis. Well, I'm sorry, 1 Sawyer Mini and 1 Sawyer Squeeze. This actually has a higher flow rate, so if you're in a hurry, it's a good one to have. But they're backups, right? Keep them separately in your pack if you feel that way about it. But if one fails or goes downstream or clogs up and you can't get it to unclog, you have a quick way to filter water that doesn't include waiting 35 minutes to 4 hours while some pills do their work. So I'm going to filter that, get the stove out, boil some water, rehydrate some food, and have lunch. I'll show you that in a second. This is the MSR reactor pot. I have the small 1 liter pot here with me. I have a larger pot for when Evelyn and Olivia are with me. It's you know, I started out with the Whisper Light stoves and all that kind of stuff. And you know, the fuel's heavy and the stove burns a lot of it, and I mean, it'll burn anything, which is great, and in any conditions, but you know, this is actually lighter than the whole kit and caboodle of that other stuff. And from a efficiency standpoint, this is the most efficient stove they make, where it'll boil water quicker than any of the others for the least amount of fuel burn. And for us, this summer, when we're doing our long 5-day trips, you know, having enough fuel is important. A lot of places you can't have a fire. Modern cookware doesn't cook very well on a fire anyway, although we do have some old stainless steel stuff. But this will boil in a matter of a minute or so. And then I can rehydrate my food, have some lunch, pack up, and head back out to the car. About 3.5 miles probably from where I sit right now, back to the parking lot. A lot of up and down. I've done 8.82 miles so far according to my Apple Watch. So you add 3.5 to that, it's a pretty good day. It's almost boiled in that amount of time. I mean, literally right there. In fact, one of the nights on the Rocky Mountain trip, we're going to be above the tree line at one of the designated campsites there in Jasper National Park, and there are no fires allowed, of course, above the tree line. But it can be quite windy. And this system, it's another reason I bought it, this system won't be impacted by the wind. So, lots of foam, almost ready. They say a watch pot never boils. Well, that one just did. Another one of these great things about coming out, even just for the day, is you get to try some freeze-dried food. Haven't had this one before. I did really like that Mary Jane's Farms organic shepherd's pie. And the organic part's a bonus, but it was really, really good. This is, so now we're trying a different brand. Pepper beef with rice. I'll tell you what, after, sorry. After almost 9 miles, this is great. really good lunch. We'll have this, and we'll head back off. Try to catch some more along the way. I've got a couple of other gadgets I've been playing with that I'll tell you about. And probably be back underway in about 15 minutes or so. Anyway, I stopped because I just wanted to show you I'm using Gaia GPS on my iPhone. We had a Garmin for a while, and I gotta say it was a bit hard to use, and I'm carrying my iPhone anyway. And so far, this particular program is phenomenal. And I'm just showing you this, where I'm just on the border between North Carolina and heading into South Carolina. So let's walk a little bit together and kind of get an idea of when we might cross. I mean, obviously there's no markers, unless I missed them on the way in with my head down or something. All right, let's stop right here, see if we've crossed in. And yeah, kind of looks like I have. So welcome back to South Carolina. All right, we're just going to keep going down this hill, and hope it stays downhill for a while, because man, there's been a lot of uphills. This will be what the Fundy footpath is like, I'm sure, a lot of up and downs. But I will have a lighter backpack, I can promise you that. It's the trailhead now, a little over half a mile to the car. Nice bench here, this is really wonderful. Very nice. I sat there for a moment. So lovely. Lots of people make these places possible. It's very cool. All right, let's get out of here. All right. We are not going that way. We are going that way. Last few steps of today's rather long hike. Made the right call though. There's no way I was going to go another 5 miles and then retrace, 11 miles of that. I think this trail really deserves a through hike, because, imagine going to Heartbreak Ridge, doing an out and back from Toxaway over Heartbreak Ridge to Laurel Fork Falls or something. I mean, talk about pain and suffering. Yeah, so I made the right call. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, where there's an REI, so that's really helpful too. One thing that is really cool that I wanted to show you as well, piece of gear, is this. This is my GPS, my satellite messenger, and it lets my wife know where I'm at. When the kids and I go hiking in, say Jasper National Park for 5 days in the backcountry, this will give her, and my mom, peace of mind. So I'm just going to say everything's okay. Wait, gotta hold a little longer actually. There we go. And that will let her know that I'm back at the car. So, another great hike. You would tell me to hold it up like this, so I am. Parking lot's right over here. How's the hike? I'd say this trail's about an 8. I mean, beautiful bridges, beautiful rivers, some good campsites that I saw on the way out. Wasn't a big fan of Bear Camp Creek, but hey, to each his own. And I'll be heading to REI tomorrow to do a little tweaking on all of this weight. So next time you see us, we'll probably do a gear load out with Olivia, Evelyn, and I for our trips on the Fundy footpath and out in the Rocky Mountains of Canada. And until then, thanks for watching.